Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, the show that delves into the reasons we love to choose, wrap, and share gifts with each other. Hi, I'm your host, Eve Kale, founder of Gift Wrapped by Eve, and I'm on a mission to help you experience the joy of gift giving while also considering the planet. Each episode, I'll be sharing ideas or interviewing guests who will help inspire your choice of gifts and how you present them. Whether that's for your own gifts or products you create or sell in your small business, will help you consider how to make small changes that can help your gifting be a little greener. Hi, Roz. Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. I'm really excited to have a chat with you today. Thank you so much for coming on and being my guest. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners, for those of you who haven't met you before?
Well, thank you, Eve. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. My name is Roz Chandler and I run Roz Chandler Fitness, and we cover all sorts of women's wellness, fitness, online, in halls. We do. Quite busy lady.
Yeah, you're always doing something new and different. The reason that I know Roz and is because I do your classes and have done for more years than I can remember now, a really long time. So so we're not really here to talk about fitness today, but I'm sure as we go through, little bits and pieces will pop up, and so it's going to be a bit of a different sort of chat today. Normally when I see your lovely face, Roz, it's in the morning, early morning, when I'm doing my workout before I start my day. So it's really nice to talk to you in person.
Yes, yes.
In person, but yeah. Brilliant. So my podcast is all about gifting, and so we're going to have a chat today about how you feel about giving gifts and wrapping them and all of those kind of things. So we'll start off just having a chat about what kind of occasions you give gifts for.
Well, obviously birthdays. I've got my little diary that I work through, and I try not to miss anybody's birthdays, but definitely give gifts for birthdays. Funnily enough, we touching back onto the fitness thing. We did a wellness morning yesterday, and I did little gifts for everybody there, just in little gift bags. It was only a couple of little bits in there, but I really enjoyed putting that together actually. So I like to sort of not only just family members, but I do like to give gifts. Well, friends, family, birthdays, things like that, really. Yeah.
So do you find that sometimes actually you'll make your these gifts obviously were for your wellness morning, but they weren't necessarily for any particular like occasion that was in the calendar. You sort of created the reason to give people those gifts.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah. I mean, I created the wellness morning, and then I just thought actually it might be a really nice little thing for everybody to have a little bag and to go home with just a little something that's helping them with their wellness.
Yeah. Okay.
So it took a little while to figure out what I was going to do and what I was going to put in the bag.
Yeah.
I got there in the end, and then they were all different. All the bags were all different colours, and my daughter helped me actually put all the bits in.
Yeah.
So she because there was 30 of us, so it's quite a few bags to do, and she thoroughly enjoyed it as well. She was trying to match up the colours of the bag. We gave little pucker tea bags as one of the gifts, and she was trying to match up the colours of the tea bags to the colours of the bag.
Oh, lovely. Oh, what a lovely idea. So you put in all sort of things to do with wellness, so they had something to remind them of the day to take home with them.
Yeah, they had like a little bag of Epsom salts, which is really good to have in your bath, that's for wellness, and a little tea bag. And they had some other little bits and pieces, but it was all centered around.
Yeah.
So they could go home, they've had the day, and then they've got this little gift,
Lovely.
So,
What a lovely idea. So they're going to remember that day, and whenever they use those products, they're going to remember the time that they had at the wellness day. I think that's fantastic, and it's something that I've started to talk more about in my Facebook group and in other areas is how you can start using things like gifting in your business to help you be more memorable. So that's just such a good example.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think as well, I got one lady even shared it on Instagram, a picture of the bag with the bits in it and sort of said, I've had a fantastic day, thank you very much. So, and a lot of them come up and said that was a really nice little touch. They,
Yeah,
because I didn't tell them they were going to
yeah,
get the bag. So I think it just was a nice little, even though I'm not, it wasn't a huge amount in there, but I don't think that always matters. I think it's the fact that you think about somebody
yeah,
with, isn't it? It shouldn't be how much the value of the gift is,
yeah,
the fact that you've thought about it.
yeah,
And that's why I like giving gifts to people. I am Dad probably might be skipping a few questions ahead, but I'm definitely one of these people that I do get a lot of joy in giving someone a gift.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I don't always know what to give, but if I think I've got it, if I think I've got something that I think this person will really appreciate, then the joy, find a lot of joy in that, giving the
yeah,
gift.
yeah. That's really, yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's, yeah, that taking that time to think about what somebody might really appreciate. I think what you're saying, yeah, about the not the size or the value, but just the thoughtfulness behind it is that your example of what you did for the people who came to your wellness days, just yeah, exactly that they felt really thought of. It was a really nice touch. That element of surprise as well.
Yeah,
They didn't know that they were going to receive it.
no.
Um, is yeah, really, really what had the biggest impact, I guess. Um, so yeah, the next question is actually about, do you enjoy the process of choosing gifts?
Yes, I do actually. I do. I don't always know, like I just said, really, I don't always know whether what I choose is well received. I mean, back in the past, when I had more time, I would make gifts. So I have in the past made, yes, anything from sort of I'm quite into my sewing, so I made some little heart lavender field pouches that I really enjoyed doing that, and I think they were quite well received. And a friend of mine, she's got a Labrador, and I managed to find some really beautiful fabric with just a little Labrador on the front and sent her that. So that was nice. And then, way back, I have done things like made chutneys or that sort of thing. It's just a time thing, really. And I hope they've been well received. You never quite know, do you? But I think they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I think you're right. You don't always know, but you kind of when you put some real effort into making like handmade gifts, that's amazing. I think people appreciate the effort when they receive something that's been made. That sounds lovely, the little lavender bags. And yeah, taking the time out to do something like that, that's yeah, I'm sure people really appreciate those things.
Yeah, it was good for me as well. And I have got some fabric that I keep looking at and thinking I really need to just put some time aside. And once the thing is, once I would start it, then I would do it. But it's just that whole I haven't really got that time at the moment, which is really sad to say. But I do enjoy, as well as looking for other gifts, I do enjoy the making of them as well.
Yeah. So if you don't have time and realistically, if you're running a business and, family, it is hard to fit in making things. What would you do instead? Do you have like your sort of go-to places that you go and choose things? Are you a
It
fan of
really does
handmade?
depend on who I'm buying for. Um, I've got a friend who's been a friend of mine we've been best friends since we were like three. So that's a lot of years because we're getting on. Um, and there's a website called Treat Box. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've heard of that.
I have, yeah.
Um,
I've used them,
and
yeah.
yeah, so we tend to kind of send each other little treats like that in the post because she's in Essex and I'm in Wiltshire. So, but that's really lovely. I mean, it actually was my birthday last week and she sent me a little box and it just had a little Epsom salts tin and a little posy of dried flowers and it was just really, really nice to receive it, But yeah, so treat box. And I must admit, I don't really get much time to actually go to physical shops at the moment either. And I know this sounds a little bit bad. I do probably tend to go more online and, buy gifts online and then either get them delivered, wrap them up and send them, or sometimes send them like the treat box that will go direct.
I think a lot of people are the same that we're short on time and maybe your high street isn't necessarily that inspirational always. So going online is a great way to buy gifts, isn't it? And businesses that allow you to create a gift and send it direct are doing brilliantly. And I've used, Treatbox and other places like that myself because they allow you to do that. And the thing I like about that company, I think, is the fact that you can pick and choose lots of different items to
Yeah.
create your own. So you feel like you're doing the choosing, and then they present it really nicely and send it to the person for you. So
Yes. Yeah.
you get all of that side of things, the kind of maybe the thing that you would do if you could give it to them in person, making it easier for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it is nice that you can choose. It's not just there like, oh, well, that'll do. That's the box. It's like, well, I want to put that in it. I want to put that in it because I know she likes that, and
Yeah.
that's yes, that's good. And sometimes I do use Marks and Spencers quite a lot actually,
Yeah.
because I don't, I've sent hampers and bits and pieces in the past, and they've always been nice gifts. Marks and Spencers, I think they always do a nice gifty hampery thing or a smellies type gift,
Yeah.
Everyone likes smellies, don't they, at the end of the day? Can't go wrong with smellies.
No, lovely. Yeah, yeah. Always like something like a hand cream. That's my kind of go-to gift
Yeah,
for my friends. It's a token gift to show that you thought of them, I think,
yeah,
quite often.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not buying online and sending direct, do you enjoy wrapping the gifts yourself?
Yes, and I have to say, at Christmas time, it is one of my little pleasures where because I start buying presents quite early on in December, and I have to restop myself sometimes and say, don't just wrap it up as it comes. And then I will sit down in my lounge. I'll put something Christmassy, like a really trashy Christmas film on. You know the ones I mean.
Yeah.
And I will just sit there and take my time wrapping them up
Yeah.
and enjoying that. So I do enjoy wrapping up the presents. I do it for other people's birthdays as well, but a lot of my family are quite far away. Sort of, it's just a bit more tricky to get them there. But yeah, I do enjoy a good wrapping, and I do have a box of ribbons
Yeah.
that I've collected. And so maybe someone's given it to me on a parcel themselves, and I keep it, or it's been on some sort of packaging. So I will always try and do, a little ribbon bow if I can.
Lovely. So yeah, yeah, being reusing and repurposing is my big thing that I'm always going on about, especially things like ribbons, because you can get a really good collection if you stash things away, um, and get really creative, picking out the different things, like you were saying about your daughter trying to match up the tea bags and the bags. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing that kind of thing where you're kind of coordinating the colors and
I thought about this the other day, and I thought I probably am a little bit too obsessive about that sort of thing.
okay.
It's like, oh no, that didn't match. And then that's just something that happens to me. But yeah, I do reuse, like I said, I reuse the ribbon, and I do reuse the gift bags. When somebody gives you a bag and
Yeah.
sometimes they've written to Roz on the little label, but I take that off and then I might have my own label that I tie on.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes then I will tie the handle up with the ribbon just to make it look a
Yeah.
bit more posher, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I do really enjoy reusing. I definitely reuse most of it. And I have a big box in my cupboard, which I'm pointing, that's no good on a podcast, but it's behind me, a big box. I stuck so I have like a wrapping box.
Yeah.
I've got my sellotape in there, I've got my scissors, I've got all my bags, my ribbons, my labels,
You're all
and bits
sorted. Yeah.
and tissue paper and bits and pieces. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
you're very organized. This is the kind of thing I'm always suggesting, because there's always that bit where you sit down to go and do your wrapping and then you haven't got your scissors where your
yeah.
tape is and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're a pro, Ross.
Yeah. Oh, it's just there, and now everyone knows where that box is. So, if any of the rest of the family want to wrap something up, they just know that's all in the box and they
Yeah.
can just grab it. Yeah.
Well, do you have any, you've talked about the kind of things that you've given people over the years, but are there any particular memories that sort of stand out, either a special gift that you've given or one that you've received?
Wow. Lots of gifts, really. I there was a particular gift that I really remember receiving, and I'm looking at it now. When it was my 40th birthday, there was a lady who used to come to my classes, and she was one of my cashiers at the time called Anne Orchard. And sadly, she's no longer with us, which is really, really sad. But for my 40th birthday, she organised all of my members to put a little bit of money towards a present for me, which was absolutely lovely. And she bought me an apple tree.
Wow.
And it was about probably about that big and presented it to me in class. And there was lots of tears and hugs. And we planted the apple tree out the front and it's just grown and grown and grown. So every time I look at that, it's literally right in front of my house. Every time I look at that tree, I just have memories of Anne. So that is such a lovely gift to think that everybody kind of, put together to get that. And also a couple of years after that, when I'd had my, what I'm coming up to 20 years now, which is bonkers. I think it's my
Amazing.
50th. And I had a Pandora bracelet, and they all again clubbed together and bought me a charm for my Pandora. And it's just a little star that goes on my bracelet that's got loads of little sparkly diamonds. And the card just said, "You are our sort of," I know it sounds a bit smoochy, but
Oh, it's
you are
lovely.
sort of star. Do you know what I mean? And that every time I look at that, it's on my bracelet. I just think of all my members because we have made lots of lovely friendships, and that's some really lovely gifts that I've received from my members. So that's been really lovely.
That's
Really,
so lovely. It's that's a great example of when you all put something together, and how much impact that can have when you collect together to
mm,
surprise somebody with a gift. And those two gifts in particular, are ones that you get sight of all the time, and it helps you sort of you're connecting with
yeah,
the people that you're making such a difference to. So I bet they really enjoy giving back to you because they get so much from what you're doing for
yeah.
them.
It was
All
really
the time.
special, and especially like I say with the tree and the fact that
Mm,
unfortunately Anne is no
yeah,
longer here. It's just I walk out my front door every time. I just see it, and especially a couple of weeks ago, it was really in blossom, and it was just beautiful, and that's just it's just lovely. It's just a really lovely gift.
yeah, a gift that lasts and is changing all the time and changes with the seasons. Amazing
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really good. I've given so yeah, I can't really pinpoint any things that I've given myself, but my sister and I, we do days out or trips to the theatre as our gifts because I don't get to see her very often. So we will say something like, right, we'll meet up in London because it's halfway and we'll go and see a show, and that'll be our gifts to each other.
Yeah,
That's not so wrapping up a gift, but that's still, we can still kind of say that's our gift.
yeah.
So things like that are nice to do, aren't they?
Experiences are yeah a great thing to do, aren't they, as an alternative when we're quite often we don't necessarily want more stuff. And my sister and I do the same thing actually, but we go on spa days because we often don't see each other on our own. We'll see each other with our families or our kids. And we're forever decluttering our houses full of children's things. So we go off and have a treat and have some time on our own every so often. In fact, we're going this week.
Oh, that sounds
We've got
amazing.
yeah, we've got a rollover because it's two Christmases and two birthdays, I think. So we're having a really nice day out.
Lovely.
Yeah. What we do is we sometimes wrap little things up to say, we'll see you at the spa or like a hand cream or something like that.
Lovely.
Yeah, to
Lovely.
because there are different things you can do to kind of wrap the experience, I guess. But I mean, in this case, what we're talking about is we're doing it together, and we both know what this is not a surprise. But yeah, yeah, it's a great thing to do. I agree.
Definitely. My sister as well, she did, I've just that flashback to me. She bought me one time, and it was the tiniest of things, like you say about giving a little tiny thing. She bought me these little earrings, which are like little cassette tapes. They got these on them. She said you can wear them next time you do one of your 80s fitness classes. They're quite dangly. Tiny little thing, but obviously she thought about it that, she knew that that would be a fun thing for me to put on
Yeah.
because and when I do my 80s sort of style.
That's really personal, but yeah, I love that. Love that. I have to look out for when you wear them next and when you do an 80s class. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I've just got one final question, which was
Okay.
that so my mission and the name of the podcast is Greener Gifting Gang. So we're all about being green, and we've touched on it a little bit earlier. But can you give us your how you take being greener into consideration when you're choosing gifts or wrapping them? You talked a little bit about things reusing things. Is there anything else that you do to the environment?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to use the plastic. So, yeah, I will definitely reuse the bags and paper if I can. If it's really lovely paper, then I'll reuse that and the ribbons. And I try not to use so much of the plasticky ribbon. Do you know the ones I mean? The curling type ribbon.
Yeah,
I think I've not bought that for years. Or the stick-on stars that you used to
yeah,
get, because they invariably fall off anyway, don't they? I'd much rather use a ribbon and tie my own
yeah,
bow and star sort of thing. Um, and I think then I'd like to think that if the person I gave the gift to would then reuse it again.
yeah,
So yes, I do try and be mindful of that. If say I got something in the post and it would had been wrapped up with some tissue paper, that definitely goes in my box. Anything that comes in the post, like wrapping from anything you've bought online, that goes in there. So that gets reused.
amazing.
Tissue paper. Yeah, so I do try and do my bit
Yeah,
for it all and not use as much sellotape if I can help it.
yeah,
Fold it a bit more rather than sticking loads of sellotape all over it.
yeah.
So yeah, I do. I'd like to think that I do try and be a little bit more mindful.
Thank you. That sounds like you're doing loads of different things. And I think it's all these small steps that we can all start to make and talking about it on this podcast and other places. I think it's helping people realize that it's okay to do that. It's okay
Yeah,
to reuse and
yeah.
repurpose, and actually you can still end up with something that looks great as well. You're not being cheap by doing that. You're not
No,
being, you can and your presents will still look good. So I love sharing examples of where I've reused things to prove that things can still look fab.
yeah.
So I love those examples. Thank you. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for talking to me, Roz. If people are
You're welcome.
interested to find out more about your fitness and wellness classes and things, where can they find you?
So I am on Facebook and Instagram. If you just put in at Roz Chandler Fitness, you'll find me there. Or my website is www.rozchandlerfitness with a Z .co.uk. And actually, if you Google me, just put me in the Google engine, I do come up quite high on the Google thing. So even if you've forgotten that, you just put Roz Chandler Fitness and I should come up.
Fantastic. Well, do go and check out Roz's stuff. It doesn't matter where you are in the country or even, in fact, the world, because she's online. I do my classes with Roz, even though I live in the same town as her. I do classes online, and you can do them at any time, and they are really, really good.
Oh, thank
I
you.
absolutely love them. They keep me sane and keep
Oh,
me fit. So
I'm
amazing.
so
Thank you, Roz.
pleased.
Thanks for talking to us.
Oh, you're welcome and thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for so much for having me on as a guest.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. For free resources, head to giftwrappedbyeve.com/freebies and follow Eve on socials at giftwrappedbyeve on Instagram and Facebook.